Games are art. I'm sure you've probably heard something similar to this or the same sentiment before from a dozen other content creators or people in general out there on the internet or in your own life. How said video game impacted their lives, and now they've changed for the better and they feel like they can conquer the world. Not that I'm doubting the genuineness of their claims, far from it. However, I do have to ask, and this got me thinking, how much can a game's message and themes actually change your behavior patterns and your life? Now, if video games are an art form, which I will share my viewpoint on this matter later, what about that game or that moment in said game caused you, the player, to be so moved to the point of tears that you would be motivated to change your life? Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Hopeful Void, and I want to ask the question, how can a video game change your life? Now, since this is my first attempt to try and break this down in a way you, the viewer, can understand my thought process, the video at times may seem a bit confusing and hard to follow, so please bear with me. One more disclaimer from before I start, and I'm going to enunciate this so people don't get the wrong idea at all. I will be speaking from my own personal experience, and thus everything that I will say in this video is my personal opinion, and it's based entirely, once again, on my experiences, not anyone else's, just me. Just want to make that clear. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Now, there is one question though we do have to ask, and it's the question that everyone has to ask, I think, is, are video games art or are they not? Now, I can bore you with all the lovely details and information about what goes into developing a game and, what parts of a game allow that to happen and all that. But I won't, because I respect your time and mine. That being said, I'm going to sum up my answer in 2 words, in a nice little sentence. Ready? Here is my answer. It depends. How does it depend? 1 word. Intent. If game developers want to make a game with the sole intent to want to entertain you for a couple of hours or more at a time, depending on how much time you have in the day, and have nothing to say to the player except make your own fun or have fun with your friends, then it's not art. It is purely mindless entertainment or a social gathering tool. Look no further than Fortnite. And here comes the flood of angry comments telling me, oh, I'm such a hater for hating on Fortnite, and I don't understand. Yeah. Now, granted, I've never played Fortnite, but I have seen gameplay of it, and to me it just looks boring, so yeah, take from that what you will. Anyway, if a game has nothing to say or has nothing meaningful to teach the player, then it's just a game. However, on the flip side, if a video game has a narrative, moral lessons, themes, whether they be good or bad, good music, good art direction, then it's considered to be art. If you couldn't tell by the last statement, I have a very strong bias towards RPGs. Now, I'm not saying games with the sole intent on entertaining you or your friends are bad. No, they're not. I mean, they can be a fun experience. I am merely saying that I would consider games with that intent as just a game, like Monopoly or chess or checkers. A game, that just entertains you. But if a video game has all the qualities that I listed previously, just a moment ago, then how can it move someone to the point of self reflection? Again, the answer is quite the same. It depends. It depends because some games may say something that does not quite relate to you or your life circumstances at the moment. Other games might, or have. If a person is playing a game that talks a lot about social commentary, and let's say the person is dealing with loneliness or depression, or even addiction, or some struggle in their life, and said person watches a cutscene in a game or reads a line in a piece of dialogue in the game that either subtly or not so subtly talks about said social issue or said struggle, that player is going to feel something. And if you're anything like me, let what was said resonate in your heart and your mind and allow the information to be processed and let your brain kind of chew on it for a little bit. A few games that do this very well, just to name a few, are Nier Automata, even Nier Replicant, even though I haven't played that yet, but I will eventually. The Persona series, for the Final Fantasy franchise, the Last of Us games, Shin Megami Tensei franchise, and so much more. In order for a game's messages or themes to be conveyed to you in an emotional way, there has to be 3 key elements at play: empathy, relatability, and investment. Does the game make you feel something for its characters? Does the story create scenarios where the characters overcome similar obstacles to the ones present in your life? Are the emotions being conveyed properly? These are just some questions that need to be answered if a game wants to achieve this. If a game wants you, the player, to feel empathetic for the characters in the story. Which leads into the second element, relatability. Are the characters relatable? Do these characters struggle with the same things that I do? Do the characters convey real human responses? Or are they just robots? Do the characters act like real people? Or are they just mindless drones? Relatability is very important if a game wants you to care and feel something about its story and about the people involved. And lastly, investment. Does the game give you reasons to care about the plot or message it's trying to convey? How well does the game articulate these themes? And are these themes meaningful and relevant to the player? Without any investment, the player will have zero interest to care and thus become bored and disinterested in the process. Is that it then? Is that all it takes for a person to be moved by a video game's themes and morals? Because any piece of art actually can do that, depending on the person. No. No, there's one more element. There's one more very crucial part for this whole process to work and flow. That element is you. We, the consumers that these developers are trying to sell their products to, need to allow a game's moral lessons and themes to speak to us. And we need to be able to listen, then think about what was said and how it relates to us, and then ask ourselves, how can I apply this message to my life? Because I guarantee you, half the time you're playing a video game, you're not really thinking about that. You're not really thinking, okay, how does this relate to me? You're just wanting to get on with the story. You're just wanting to get on to the next thing because, you're enjoying yourself. Not a lot of people think about this. However, we all walk different paths and different roads. We experience many things in many different ways. However, one thing is certain: we remain an active participant in whatever we do and in whatever we allow to move us and change us for the better. After all, we can only control our actions and our thoughts and our behavior and our response. The next time you find yourself playing a video game, ask yourself, am I willing to sit down and listen to what this video game has to say? Am I willing to let this process occur? And if not, is the game not giving me a reason to want to? Regardless what choice you make, just remember to take each day one step at a time.